Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Hello and welcome to a look at Space Harrier for the Commodore 64, a Sega arcade original that was released by Elite and Sega. Yeah, another one of those, and I'm not seeking them out intentionally, it just happens. The plotline behind this game is that the land of the dragons is under duress. The most diabolical, nasty, murderous, evil, and even unpleasant race of mutants and all that good stuff has decided to invade. And of course, the Land of Dragons being, despite its name, a peaceful little place, needs outside help. You come in as the mutant exterminator extraordinaire called Space Harrier, and you have to navigate several different levels on disposing of the psychedelic mutants and avoiding flying into various different obstacles that are in your way. Once you have done that for a certain amount of time, a big nasty, the leader of that specific group of nasties, will appear, and you will have to take it down and then move on to the next level and rinse and repeat. That is the foundation of this game, and if it sounds simple, it is for a good reason. Because at a foundation level, this is an incredibly basic game. Based on what information I could gather and my own conclusions, I don't think this game was ever intended to be particularly advanced. To me, it feels like this was a sort of test bed for Sega, or a proof of concept, if you want. Prior to this arcade's release, most arcade games were 2D something. Platformers, shoot-em-ups, whatever else they might have been. Of course, there was the occasional outlier like Pole Position, which was a sort of pseudo 3D racing game, but 3D had never been done in the way that Space Harrier did it. The graphics for the time were quite good, the sound effects were very enjoyable, and of course the background music was subtle but very enjoyable to listen to, and it all came into a cohesive whole. But if you look at the pacing and the sprite scaling and all that kind of stuff, it's very easy to see the foundation of the engine that drove other Sega titles like Outrun, Afterburner, Super Hang-On, and whatever else there might have been. Due to that, of course, expecting conversions of a title that is relatively basic to be anything special beyond the arcade original is perhaps a bit optimistic. When you play the game, you'll have a certain amount of time that you are given, and once that runs out, you are given 10 lives, and those are the lives you are expected to use to complete the rest of the game. And it is a mechanic that certain people might find more or less enjoyable, but if you compare to the arcade original, that depending on the dip switch setting of the game would give you 2 or slightly more lives to work with, it could be considered fairly generous. While there's 2 unique versions of this particular title, I would argue that it is a title and a half. Elite, as a publisher, published some fairly decent arcade conversions all around, especially compared to many other publishers, but they had a notorious reputation for cutting corners, meaning that graphical elements were missing, sound elements were missing, and of course, much worse, entire levels from the arcade originals were cut in order for them to ship the games quicker, whatever else the reason might have been. Sega released an NCC version of this particular title, and if you look at the two titles, you will realize that they are virtually identical, except for a few minor differences, and as such I'm going to comment on the technical stuff based on that. Graphically, the game looks perfectly decent all round. The scrolling of the graphics is surprisingly decent, and while you cannot possibly compare it to the arcade original, and I mean it's a bit like comparing a Fiat to a Ferrari. They're both cars, but one of them has got significantly more power to actually move the vehicle. So as such, I mean, doing a direct comparison feels distinctively unfair. But within the resources available, I think overall, graphically, it's fairly decent and it works fairly well. The main difference between the PAL version and the NCC version is the fact that the NCC version actually got a floor. The PAL version floor was blank, and the pacing is slightly lower, which by more enamored players than me is considered to be a good thing. Sound effects are what they need to be. They are slightly different between the two versions, and personally I prefer the PAL version sound effects, specifically the hero dying in the NCC version. I can't help but feel sounds a bit like a deflating balloon. But it is an individual thing, and yeah, you may like one version's sound effects over the other or not. The music, which is a rendition of the arcade original theme, is made exceptionally well, and it is identical across the two versions. So, yeah, perfectly happy with the soundscape in general. The controls are again identical. You use your joystick to move around on the screen, and then you use the fire button to shoot stuff, and there's nothing noticeable positively or negatively. Everything moves as it should, and the controls are responsive, and yeah, what can I say? The gameplay differences based on the pacing means that people by and large seem to find the NCC version more enjoyable because it's more gentle paced, and of course related to that the difficulty drops a bit. The PAL version is considered to be unnecessarily challenging and basically a rush job. Another thing, which is a minor thing, is the scoring. The PAL version is not as generous with its score as the NCC version, and while numbers is just a question of illusion, it does feel somewhat more impressive to be awarded 10 million points than being awarded 1,000 points. So if that's something that concerns you, I can see that it could be a defining factor. While the conversions are perfectly decent all round, and while I will happily agree that the NCC version is the better version, anyone who's been watching these videos that I make consistently will know that it takes more than graphics and sound to impress me. I like good graphics and I absolutely love a good sound, but it shouldn't be masking the fact that the gameplay underneath is lacking. If you like in-your-face action games, I can easily see that Space Harrier could be just the thing for you. But personally, I want my games to have somewhat more substance. Unless you have a desire to see what psychedelic monsters can be thrown in your general direction, once you've completed one level, you have seen all this title has to offer. No spiffy extras, no extra weapons, no anything of any kind, except from what you see from the moment you start until the moment you are done playing. It's not bad in any way, shape or form, that would be unjust to say that, but I didn't find the arcade original particularly attractive due to its gameplay, and obviously it would be incredible if I enjoyed the home computer conversions more when they offer what the arcade original offered. Toned down a bit, of course, for natural reasons. Not much more to say, so thanks for watching, take care, see you next time. Bye bye for now.